Well, welcome to another edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight Podcast. And I am your host, Brian Arnold, and just so excited today. We are going to just talk about a whole lot of stuff. And a part of our state, for those of you who usually are talking to me in the Denver metro area, or, we're talking about other states that I'm licensed in, Colorado Springs is a unique area. Colorado Springs has the best of, I would say, all worlds, where they have some really high-end, nice homes. They have some super affordable homes, and they have everything in between. They have some unique communities of people who really like each other. They care about each other. They have some really good neighborhoods that, at least the ones that I've visited, I've never personally lived in Colorado Springs, but I've worked in Colorado Springs. I've met with people in Colorado Springs. And it's just really cool. When we talked to Haley today, that is where she's at. That is where she spends most of her time. There are some really cool, even small communities on the outskirts of Colorado Springs that thrive in ways that you wouldn't know. And if you're thinking about that as an area that you want to go, you're going to make sure you want somebody who knows it and has been doing it and knows it very well. And Haley's that person. And so the other thing that's unique about Haley that I love as part of it is down payment assistance and working with folks that are first-time home buyers. That has been a special, what I've been specializing in a while. And I think of, I'm working on Halloween. I'm supposed to close a young lady who a year ago did not believe she could own a home. She didn't even think. She grew up here in Denver in the projects. She had never had anybody in her family that owned a home. She's been paying rent at $2,500 a month. And when I sat down with her, I said, $2,500 a month, that's $30,000 a year that you're paying. If you did that for the last 10 years, which is pretty close, that's $300,000 you've given a landlord.
Oh, exactly.
And you probably qualify. She has a disabled child, and she's able to. I'll have her on the show here pretty soon. But to think that in this process, it hasn't all been me. It's been me who said, okay, you can do this. But if I could surround her with a community, with real estate agents, I have a real estate agent that was down here, but just like Haley, where they understand the different programs, they understand, how to work with selling agents, how to convince. One of the sometimes selling agents, if they don't understand the person that they're working with, that or the buyer that's trying to come in, and they hear this word down payment assistance or programs, or they want us to sometimes shy away from it.
Oh,
And
exactly.
we don't want that to happen. And so, Haley, I don't want to talk too much because this show is about you today. So thank you for being on. I so much appreciate you coming and talking about the things that you love so much. If you could just tell everybody first, how do they get a hold of you? How can they connect with you? And then maybe we can talk a little bit about your story.
Definitely. Well, first and foremost, Brian, thank you so much for having me on your show. I look forward to discussing real estate, but you can reach me. I'm with Ventera Real Estate. And so, Haley Levick, you can reach me at 719-930-2207. Email is hrjones5, I'm sorry, hrjones256 at gmail.com. And so, super easy to get a hold of me. I'm only a text message away.
Oh, that's so cool. So you said HR Jones. Where did Jones come from?
I had a name change, and
All right.
so, but in this industry, you can't really change your email address, or you're not going to hear from anybody. And
Exactly.
so
Well, that
it's still a different name on my email, but you know what? You can reach me either way.
Gotcha. And the only reason I brought that up is because my mom's maiden name is Jones. And so
I love it. I love
we
it.
have this whole plethora of people that are all around that we could be or not be. I mean, it's a popular name, but that's why I brought that
Definitely.
up. So where did you grow up, Haley? Tell us a little bit
You know,
about you.
Originally, I'm from Texas, and so lived in Texas most of my life. Left there and lived in the Midwest for 2 years. And so, change of scenery, change of dynamics, and it was definitely not for me. And so, started looking throughout the country of where would be the best place to live, and I picked Colorado, like so many others in our nation.
Absolutely. Okay. So Texas, this huge state, and then you end up
Hmm.
somewhere in the Midwest that is more people, I'm assuming, than
Yep.
Texas.
Well, it's I went from a border town to a small town in Indiana.
Okay.
And so there was a lot less people, a lot slower paced, and it was just I needed something a little bit faster.
So from road runners to cows.
Exactly.
There we
And
go.
then back to the mountains. And so
And then
loved it.
back to the mountains. All right, so I love it. So how did you get into real estate? What has been your world and why you chose it?
And with real estate for years and years and years, I wanted to go into real estate. And so I started off my careers in restaurants. And
Okay.
so I was a general manager and a district manager for an IHOP for over 10 years. Absolutely loved what I did. Loved working with people, the communication process, everything else. And I just wanted to make a change, something to grow myself. Thought, hey, let's try it. And then I realized I have a passion for helping people. And
Oh,
so that's been throughout my entire time as a realtor. I specialize with first time buyers. I have additional certification with the Real Estate Commission for first time buyers because first time buyers, that's what it is. You're helping someone achieve a life goal that they never knew they would have otherwise. Just like the young lady you helped, she
mhm.
never thought in a million years she would be a homeowner. And here she is now as a homeowner, first generation of, and it's only going to set up the rest of her family with generational wealth in real estate.
Oh my gosh, when you just think about that, it kind of gives you goosebumps a little bit. And I didn't realize there was a designation
Hmm.
for first time home buyers. So I can't wait to start working with you and doing some stuff together. I had a couple call me last night. I think they might be in Colorado Springs that are 50 years old,
Hmm.
and they said, I want to buy a house. I'm like, that's so cool. And then you
And
start
it's
going through this.
great.
It is. And I'm like, but I was told we can't do that in Colorado, because there's no houses left. So what would you say to that? Because that was what they said to me, and I would love to hear your answer on there is no houses.
So there are definitely houses. And so
Okay.
there are lots and lots of houses. Now, what I tell most of my first time buyers specifically is that your first house is exactly that. It's the first house, it's the starter house. And so even if you're buying your first house at 50, you still don't plan on retiring in that home. And so this is your investment, your purchase in order to sell later in order to buy the bigger, better home. So when it comes down to buying a house, especially as a first-time buyer, there's programs available, down payment assistance to help the financial burdens, to help people get into that home for as little out of pocket as humanly possible, while still at the same time allowing them to find something that they can actually grow in, equity builds, things that they can do on their own to increase their own personal wealth. And then even looking in areas, outer outskirts of Colorado Springs, fountain areas, even Pueblo has a phenomenal options of gorgeous homes that are a lot more financial friendly.
Gotcha. Oh, I love it. The when I was just thinking about what you were saying, I was thinking there's the 50 million millennials that are out there that are telling me now that they have student loan debt, and so they can't buy a house because they have student loan debt, and the one that they would want, isn't going to be available. And you were just saying, it's your starter house. It's you getting on.
Exactly.
It's not your parents' basement, but it's a
Oh,
place to get
exactly.
going.
And
Uh,
it's yours. You're putting the
mhm.
money into your own equity, your own build, so that way you're not just paying a landlord like this young lady, $30,000 a year. Now you're putting that $30,000 a year into yourself, which has a return when you decide to sell.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, what have you learned over the years of doing this? What have you learned that makes you such an exceptional agent, or separates you apart from some of the other folks that are out there?
Extreme levels of patience. And so I'm a broken record, and every first time buyer is always so nervous because they ask the same question a dozen times. And I
Mhm.
tell them, please ask over and over again. I want to make sure you know 100% what we're doing. You feel good about it. You feel good about your decision. And so I'd rather you ask me the same question a dozen times and get the same answer a dozen times than not ask it once. And then there could have been something completely different in the transaction that we could have done. And so I'm all about pushing communication and being available. And all of my clients absolutely love the fact that I'm there for them.
Gotcha. All right, I told you I'd ask you this question, which is the superpower question. If you could have a superpower in this world, in this world of how we're helping folks, what would that be?
Oh God, telepathy would be a great one for that one. And so,
Wouldn't it?
yep, yep. And so it's we'll hear thoughts and know exactly what the game plan is from the very beginning, and where we're going to solve all the problems before they even come up. And so that would be ideal.
Absolutely. And thinking about that, I mean, one thing that I think marks an amazing realtor or real estate agent is that they can see what some of their clients can't see because they come in and they think they know what they want, especially first time home buyers, right?
Oh yeah.
So they think they know what they want. And then you start taking them around and you realize by watching them that what you say you want and what you get excited about and what you smile
Hmm.
about and what you continue to talk about you want in the next place isn't what we started out with. How do you
Exactly.
navigate that? What's
It's a lot of trust and sometimes a little bit of begging. I'll tell you, I had a client once, and there was a house, and I was like, "Let me take you to this house, please." And they're like, "No, we don't want to see it." And I'm like, "Please, just 5 minutes. We'll walk in, walk out. If you hate it, you can tell me that you hate me. All of the above." Fought me tooth and nail about it. Finally got him to go into this house with me. They fell in love with this house. They went under contract for it, bought the whole house for $1,000 plus inspection, down payment assistance for the whole thing. They were in it for less than first month's rent and deposit.
I don't want to just go Skype over that or brush over that. You said that they were able to get in for $1,000.
Hmm. Plus
You said
inspection.
with plus inspection. So whatever the inspection was, that's important to make sure that the house is going to work, right?
Exactly.
Uh, you said it was for less than the rent that they were paying.
Mhm. First month's rent and deposit, and they're in
First
their
month's
new
rent and
home.
deposit, cheaper to get into that. There was a house that they didn't think that they wanted, that they loved,
Hmm.
and now they're enjoying homeownership in a big way.
Exactly.
How often does that happen where you're taking somebody and they're able to enjoy this dream and they just love you to
Um,
death?
Consistently, 4 to 6 times a month. I'm taking
Okay.
people out and I'm helping them achieve home ownership for $1,000. And that's the great thing. I work with a lot of down payment assistant programs, CHAFA specifically. And I
Okay.
mean, a 620 minimum credit score and $1,000 investment,
Mhm.
and that gets you a house.
Yeah, it is so important. I did one of our podcasts with Jaffa, and it's just
I
just
love that.
the fact that they right now to me, when people say, well, the interest rates are up and this and this and that, and for first time homebuyers, there's more opportunities to help them get into the house now than I think there's ever been.
Oh, exactly.
And like you're saying, there are houses, you know, you just hope that you find great realtors like yourself who are not willing to just kind of like, well, you're not really, you're not ready yet. So go get ready and then call me back.
Oh
And I
no, it's
think
you're ready as soon as you call me. That's step one.
I
And
love
after
it.
that, I
That's
help
so
you
good.
with everything else. And whether it be credit repair, getting connected with lenders. I mean, I've got connections throughout all the way through. I've got great credit repair specialists who've done amazing things for buyers, taking credit scores from the 400s up to 620 in a matter of 3 to 6 months. Like I've seen some amazing things with some great people. And that's the biggest thing is when you have the right people behind you, everything else is easy.
Oh man, that's so cool. So I know you don't have telepathy, and that's probably not going to happen anytime in the near future. So tell me what your superpower is that you actually is your superpower that just makes this thing work so well.
So I will say I am a seller concession queen. I believe very firmly that the seller should be easily be able to pay the closing costs of the buyer to ensure $1,000 commitment of purchasing a home. And sometimes, it's a little work and so convincing and so a little bit of give and take on both ends. But seller concessions are the easiest way for a realtor to support their buyer to help them reduce the amount of out of pocket that they have to come to closing with. And I'll say about 98% of my clients come to the closing table with a $0 cash to close. It's a beautiful thing.
That is an amazing thing. And thank you for sharing that. So talk to me about the market right now. What's happening? What's not happening? What are we doing? What's going
Well,
on here?
people are nervous
Mhm,
and understandably nervous, and so interest rates have been ticking up and ticking up heavy throughout the entire year,
mhm.
and we're not necessarily seeing any slowdown in that for the remainder of 2023. And so people are nervous when it comes to the amount that they're paying for their house. My biggest advice that I give all of my clients, though, is that you fall in love with a house, you only date your interest rate. Refinancing is a thing because I guarantee that next summer, towards closer to the election, when interest rates start dropping down, kind of what we're expecting, everybody is going to be buying again. And it's going to look like 2020 when 15, 20 people are putting offers in on the same house. Now that house is going 20, 30, 40 over asking. So now is a good time to buy, get into the property, look at refinancing as interest rates drop down later.
Gotcha. Well, talk to me about the, what that means, because I don't,
Mhm.
as I talk to first time home buyers and I say, what pretty much what you're saying about inventory and people, you know, bidding on houses. Why is that happening? Why is this time such a much better place? Because I know when that stuff is happening,
Mhm.
thinks, well, I can just go get a house anytime. But what makes it so much harder when there's so many people who are looking at the same houses and are bidding? And why is that? Why is that part of our I guess our ebb
Or
and
up and
flow
down.
of what we do? Is
Mhm.
yes, our up and downs what we do.
And it's more so so because people like to chase their interest rates, of course. And so if you're waiting until the supposed optimum time to buy, then that's going to give plenty of time for other people to be prepared for that as well. And sometimes people who have a little bit more financial strength behind them than necessarily you. And so, like in 2020, I had clients putting in offers 30,000, 40,000 over the asking price and still losing the house because somebody else has just offered 60,000 over asking with appraisal gaps where they're paying out extra money towards the seller out of pocket because the bank won't loan on it because it's not worth that much. And so the biggest reason why buying now versus waiting until when everybody else is ready is that you're going to already be in your home. When everybody else is scrambling to get that house, they're having to come out an extra $35,000 that they didn't have last year anyway. You've already have your house, and all you have to do is call your bank and say, "Hey, it's time to refinance. Let's get me taken care of. I need my monthly payment to be lower." And then, two, if you're an FHA, it gives an opportunity for your primary mortgage insurance to drop off, save you several hundreds of dollars on your monthly payment. And so it might be tight for the next 6 months to a year, but after that, you're going to have so much relief with a refi.
Yeah, and you said, which was really cool. I mean, and I know people are listening to this and saying, where does somebody get an extra $30,000 or $50,000, pay extra on a bid on a home? I don't have that. What would you say to those folks that are just going, I I have to save up 20%. That's what they told me I did. I don't see with my budget and the way I'm making money that ever being possible to do. How do you work with folks and help them understand that that's not the reality of
In
what's
those scenarios, like we sit down and we look at all of the numbers together. And
Mhm.
so we look at all of the options of down payment assistance. If you want to bring your own down payment in order to keep your interest rate lower, even from the beginning, I show all of the different options there as well. What it looks like bringing 3% in, what it looks like bringing 20% in, what it's going to look like with a 15-year fix, with a 30-year fix, what balloon payments look like, all of the different scenarios that happen with it. And then looking at what you're going to be throwing into the toilet by continuing to rent and what that's going to do to you. And so, yeah, it may be a little tough pulling up and, budgeting yourself a little bit more, meeting with financial planners, starting to really see what the meat and potatoes are of the whole real estate transaction. Like you kind of start,
Mhm.
I don't know, seeing left and right and all of the differences between the financial decisions that you make. And I try to make sure that I provide all of it. So that
Mhm.
way, when we sit down and we talk, we're not just talking about what it looks like today with $15,000 down payment. We're looking at all your options over the next several months so you make the best decision for you and your family.
Yeah, that is so cool. And when I think of, I want to kind of shift over into credit, kind of talking about credit a little bit, because I think a lot of people are worried about, the credit and everything. I was working with a week and a half ago that, they have uh, two car payments that are way, to me, whatever you need to do. Like one was 800, two, both of them are over $800,
Mm-hmm.
in car payments. They have, their credit card debt wasn't too much, but it was, maybe $5,000 or something in credit card debt, and they, their FICO scores were not as high as they wanted to be. They're at that
Mm-hmm.
600, and so they're going. So I probably, that first question. So I know we have this. We probably can't buy a house. What do you tell somebody that comes to you in that scenario, that hey, we might have to change some things around a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
do this? I mean,
Well, and I tell every person that I talk to, it's you are going you've already done step 1. You reached out to me. And now I'm going to help you and build you in the directions that you need to go. And so depending on how receptive the person is, we look at all those aspects. You've got 2 car payments, let's look at a car refi. Let's look at what it would take to reduce that amount of cost. Let's see what we can do to reduce the monthly uh, well, debt to income ratio that you would normally have with those big car payments. We would even look at those credit card payments too. That be like, you know what, this specific one has a monthly payment minimum of $100. This is the one we need to pay down versus the one that only charges us $30 a month. So that way we're making sure we're making the best financial decisions to increase that budget for the mortgage. I also have some great credit repair specialists. And so, say we're in that situation of a 600 credit score. A lot of the time, it's something simple like doing a soft pull with your lender, letting them take a peek into your credit, seeing what it is that you do have that could be paid off, running some simulations, especially at that 600 mark. But if we're looking at jumping up to needing a 700, 720, we really want to get that interest rate down. I always recommend a credit specialist
Okay.
because they're going to be able to see things and do things that I, as the realtor, cannot. I can guide you, I can direct you, I can help you in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, there are specialists in each department for a reason. And we need to utilize them and their skills so that way, as a group and as a whole, we can successfully find you a home and get to the closing table, which is always the next hurdle after we get under contract. And so those are both big factors in the entire process of things. But by talking to me, we're in the first steps. And now I'm going to get you in communication with the people you need to be talking to in order to get the pre approval. Then we start looking at the budget, what we need for your house. And so that way we can get as close to it as possible by making sure that all of your needs are met first.
Man, that is, and you think about the whole process. It takes a village, right? It takes
It
all
does.
of us that are there. And I say this, and I'll probably say it at the end of the show again: is let us help you.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we've been doing this for a while. We're the experts that know how to navigate a system that most of the time wasn't designed, for you to
Oh,
succeed
yeah.
in. It was, yeah, it's American dream, and they put it so far out there. It is, and it is in for the people who have those, mom and dad taught them what to do, showed them that,
Hmm.
hey, you can, you can get a house. There's so many parents that are still there that are helping with down payments for their kids, and did all the right things. The system is designed for that scenario. It's
Oh,
not.
and that's actually one of the places where people come up with that extra $30,000 that they were needing during the pandemic purchases is mom and dad were there to help. And but not every person has that as an option.
Yeah.
And for those that don't have people with generational wealth, the ability to borrow tens of thousands of dollars from someone, down payment assistance programs work great.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Well, we're kind of coming down to the end of the show here, but what I would love to do is if maybe in the next couple of months or something, we can find one of your clients that would want to come on that can share with the rest of, I guess our world that we have here in the podcast world of exactly not only all the things you did for them, but what it felt like. So we
Hmm.
can pass this on to other people that could say, "Hey, if they could do it, I could do it too. If they could do it, I could do it too." So what I want you to do is make sure that you give us how to get a hold of you again.
Hmm.
Super important how to get a hold of you
Of
again.
course.
And then maybe any other closing thoughts that you think you might have that you would love to share with everybody.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Haley Levick. I'm with Ventura Real Estate. My phone number is 719-930-2207. And you can reach me via email at hrjones256@gmail.com. And I'll just leave the show saying that I like to help people. And that's the big one. This is a world and an industry where people need assistance and they need patience and they need kindness. And there's not enough of that in the world right now. And so I try to be an advocate for it and to provide it to those who need it the most.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, I would love, 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 love to have, talk to Haley a whole bunch more, and you can tell that this is one of the most knowledgeable people that you probably heard in 25 minutes in your life. But she's be able to help you. One of the things that I continue to say at the end of everything in the show is, one, you can do this. You
Hmm.
have the ability to do this, and even if you think you can't, that you do that. What she called step one: call Haley. Then the second thing is you deserve this. Everybody who lives in this country, citizenship, whatever it is that you have that allows you to live here and be able to purchase a house, you deserve it because this is
100%.
the American 100%. You deserve to have what other folks have that have been able to help them create personal wealth, generational wealth, and just peace of mind of not having landlords and that kind of stuff. You deserve this. And the last thing I said, this as I said before, is let us help you.
Hmm.
I should say it like
Yes.
2 more times, right? Let us help you, because if you try to do this on your own, it's going to be a long, long process. Unless you have even. I'll just say it's a long process because
Hmm.
even if it's your parents who are helping you, somebody's helping you, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
if you think you're going to go on YouTube and learn how to do real, it's not one of those. This is a relationship game. This isn't, you can listen to as many podcasts and, us talking until you make that phone call. It's going to probably be a long journey for you. So thank you again, Haley, for being on. Just love the fact that you're doing what you do. Continue to help people out, please, because it is so important for us, especially in this first time home buyer
Agreed.
world. So you guys have another day. Thank you for listen to another episode of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight podcast. We will talk with you soon.